Guys, at this point, you should be aware that I am extremely excited for a new 4v1 horror asymmetrical game called VHS. I have 48 hours playing this game via a media playtest, and that's at stupid o'clock, like 2 a.m. in the morning, because these guys are based in Canada, and they do a little media playtest after work in Canada. And so it's West Coast Canada. It's really far away from the UK. I'm really excited for this game. And so what I wanted to do is actually sit down with the developers of VHS, the Hellbent Games team, and ask them some questions. You know, some of the questions I've come up with, some of the questions Poggy's come up with, some of them are from the YouTube channel, some of them are from my Twitter, and then others are from the VHS official Discord. I asked the people over there what they would like to ask the Hellbent Devs team. In the timestamps for this video, you'll see every question listed. So if you want to just skip around the video, you can do. Make this a bit of an interactive experience for you. I thought this was just a fun way to meet the devs, meet the people behind the game, who are very passionate for this project, and get some really good answers for you, what VHS is about and what you can expect from the game in the future. So if you do enjoy this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Check to see if you subscribe, because we have lots of VHS gameplay on the channel, and I'm sure you're going to find lots of stuff that you want when the beta comes out as well. I will make this quick note. The gameplay, at least my perspective, not very good. I was very distracted. I was having to interview the devs. I was talking to two devs who actually weren't playing the game at the time, and then coordinate versus the Dollmaster. So I was very overwhelmed. So I hope you still enjoy the gameplay as well. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so I've got the Hellbent team here. I'm playing with Kenzo, Jovo, who's going to be our monster, Lordly, and Wood. And in heaven, way above, Jeff and Chris are going to be spectating, chiming in for this Q&A. It's awesome to have you all here. Why don't we say hi to Jovo, because he's going to be dipping out in just a second.
Hello.
Hi, Kyle.
All right, Jovo.
Hello, Kyle.
Go away so we can.
Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Good luck, Kyle.
Yeah, good luck. I'm really excited for this. I've taken questions from my YouTube community. I've taken questions from Twitter. I've even taken questions from the VHS Discord community. So hopefully we can basically get you to leak the beta release date so that everyone knows finally when it is. But yeah,
no leaking, Kenzo.
No leak. And I've also set up this Discord overlay so that people on the left-hand side of the screen can see who's speaking. But what I thought I would want to start this, I guess, session with is just the simple question of why make a 4v1 horror asymmetrical game. It's a very hard genre to get into. A lot of people have tried and failed. What made you decide to get into this? Whoa, I heard the monster all the way over here.
It is a hard genre to get into, but we love the game style. We just love asymmetrical games where there's a power imbalance between a super strong monster or super strong enemy and a group working together coordinated against that.
And we used to play board games really regularly in the office, like a lot of hidden roll games with trader mechanics, and so we were kind of inspired by that. And also there was it was kind of a brand new genre, the asymmetric stuff, at the time we started, and we saw an opportunity to kind of combine those two and make a contribution to that game space.
Yeah, we actually rolled right out of playing a bunch of Betrayal at House on the Hill, which is a game, if anyone's not familiar with it.
It's a Dollmaster. This is going to be a tricky game then.
I just played Dollmaster? Okay.
I mean, that's kind of mean considering we're like having a big conversation outside of the gameplay. It's going to be hard to coordinate that.
He requires the most communication. Oh, he TP'd here.
Oh, he TP'd, okay.
Just cut right into people answering questions.
Yeah. So we used to play House on the Hill.
Yeah.
So House of the Hill is a board game.
It is. It's a board game where you start off building a hotel, and or mansion type house, and as you're building it, one person at a certain point becomes the big bad in it and fights against everyone else, and you have to try to survive against them. And we really love that concept, so we were trying to make a game. It started out as a single player game, sort of an evolution out of us building the game Wick.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's a good thing to follow up. You guys made Wick before this. It was I actually don't know much about Wick, but was it a multiplayer game or a single player game as well?
It's a single player game where you try to survive the night in a creepy forest with a bunch of dead kids chasing you around.
It's right here.
So I suspect that you took a lot of inspiration from Wick itself to start making this game.
Yeah, I mean, we actually rolled out of it making a single player game, and then we decided, what if we tried multiplayer? And that really changed everything we were doing at that point. We originally were doing a ton of procedural stuff and decided to make something more like actual physical locations that didn't change and had some procedural elements in it. But Yeah, it was a weird evolution that slowly changed into what you see today.
If you stun him, Lolly, I think I could probably run in.
Okay.
I hear
He's camping it with the door that corner, so it's hard.
Get him.
Maybe I do this instead. Oh, never mind. He
Maybe
got that.
not.
Damn.
Damn.
That was very impressive.
He's got rage.
Yeah, so rage means that he will be able to one-shot whoever he hits next. So that's something we need to be careful of. I guess a good question to follow all that up with is how long has VHS actually been in development?
So because it transitioned out of the single-player game, I guess there's a couple different dates. It was we started it in
like late 2016.
Early 2016, actually, March 2016, I think, and then in September 2016 is when it fully switched over to being multiplayer. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
so over 5 years now.
So quite some time then. And
yeah, but the team at the beginning was tiny. Like we probably had 7 people working on it when we first started, and now we're over 40 people working on it. So it's changed quite a bit through that time.
Yeah, 3.5 years ago when I joined, we were at like 15 people, I think.
Yeah. And so what like gives you, I guess, the faith that those 5 years invested into this game is going to allow, VHS to succeed, especially when so many have failed already?
We think we offer a unique experience with the shifting balance of power between the monsters and teens. So like the monster starts off really powerful, the teens have to run and hide as their only defense, and then that changes a lot when they build weapons, and then the monster gets hunted and has to be wary, and then when they disarm the teens or make them use up their limited ammo or charges, and the power swings back to them. And that mechanic doesn't really exist in other asymmetric games in the genre. We also don't have an escape mechanic, so in a lot of those other games, the best way to win is for one side to just avoid any confrontation with the opposite side for as long as possible, by being stealthy, or just have one member of the team waste as much time as possible. But by forcing battles between both sides, our design space isn't dictated so heavily by how much time pressure can be applied. And we can do things like have monsters that play a little slower or need more setup without them being weak, because it just allows the teens to finish their objectives and get out of there.
I think taking a step back from that, though, the game, any new game that comes out and you're investing a bunch of time in it and putting money into it, you have to have a level of trust.
Yeah.
And when there's no roadmap and no progression system that lasts, I think that's what kills a lot of games, when they don't have that thought out. So we didn't just spend 5 years because we wanted to spend a long time making a game. We spent a long time planning what we're going to do with the game, and how long we're going to build the game, and how we're going to sustain the game, how we're going to build systems that can make characters quickly, can make new content at the pace we need to keep the community satisfied, and to have a trust in that community. They understand that we have a plan. We're not just running by the seat of our pants. We really have like a really long thought out plan. We're building a ton of content well beyond what anyone's seen in anything here now. And I think that was the biggest thing we thought was missing. If we weren't able to show how we could build something for a sustained long period of time, and that we had the thought process of what we wanted to do, that was the big part. I think other games, they come out and they have a really fun loop, really fun game, but they don't have that extra bit of that plan. And we wanted to make sure we had that before we announced and showed the world the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. So for those who are watching, I've just used a Sacred Staff, and I have a modification on it which injures me, so I can then charge it up myself.
Get him.
It makes it a little bit easier to get that charge.
He's back.
Oh, I see that. Oh, he's upstairs on the staircase here.
I'm sorry. It's going to be so hard for me not to just scream and interrupt you.
It's okay.
That's great. I like it.
DOWSEY, in doing that, you actually... I couldn't charge my staff because I don't have that notification. And
Lordly, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
That's very interesting.
That's
that
funny.
how the modifications can I guess work with each other, but also counter each other. So one thing that I hear a lot, and this comes from content creators, this comes from community members, is that
I'm getting a ball, by the way.
I can stun him. I think maybe not. He's really far away. He's too far away. He's on this little staircase. It's so hard. Oh, maybe?
I don't think he has TP.
Oh, he's here.
No,
I'm coming from the other side. I'm coming from upstairs. Yeah.
I'm holding him still. Oh, God.
Oh.
Come on.
Making me nervous, DOWSEY.
So close. That's such a tight corridor.
Is he still in there?
I don't know where he is. I think he might be chasing me.
Okay.
All right, I'm probably going to require a little bit of a hill. So yeah, what I was saying is that a lot of content creators believe that I guess Dead by Daylight is what my audience watch it, and it's probably going to be the game that everyone will compare VHS to for that reason. But you know, in
sorry, what was that game called?
Yeah, it's just this little indie game called Dead by Daylight.
I'm not familiar with that one yet.
You know, in DBD, the killer is all powerful, and for the survivors, you know, their only escape is to loop and try and hide. And a lot of ASIMs that come out feature the ability to attack the killer and monster. And people believe that the dynamic between power roles is part of the reason that those ASIMs fail. So do you know, do you have any feelings towards that? Do you have any plans on how to solve that in VHS? Do you believe in that statement to begin with?
Yes, I mean, we've played most of the games in the genre a lot, including all the ones where you can fight back against the solo player. And usually they're balanced around the solo role is individually stronger than the team, of course, and the team can win by surrounding and attacking simultaneously, kind of like in a slugfest with the solo player, and win that way. That makes it pretty hard for the solo player to fight back effectively against a group that sticks together. So we do a few things to help address that. One is outside of our instant wound weapons, the weapon damage of particular stigma type must be applied to the monster for a fixed period of time to deal the wound. And you can't speed up that time by adding additional damage sources from your teammates. So even though your team can help you by increasing the area and angles at which you can damage the monster, you can't concentrate your fire to kill the monster faster. Mm-hmm. And secondly, when a monster lands a hit on anybody, the scream shockwave will instantly remove any nearby weapon projectiles or effects and disrupt the team players. And when they're disrupted, they cannot fight back and they have to run away or hide. Finally, if the monster is wounded, the monster will become banished and become intangible and move around the map invisibly to another place before they return. So in either case, the combat is reset, kind of like when you score a goal in a sports. So
in a sport, really I like that, Jeff. That's cool.
In a sport, yeah. In sports ball.
Sports ball. Yeah. But it's coming.
And I guess
have no weapons.
You know, leading off that, you know, the teen role oftentimes in 4v1s has to be the most populated role. Otherwise, queue times last forever. You know,
4 versus 1. There's way more than there.
Yeah. So, do you have any like ways to try and, I suppose, create that bias in your community so that 4 players to every 1 player wants to play teen compared to monster?
I think, the monster is just a challenging role, right? So always the monster's got a lot of pressure and challenge on them. They're carrying the whole weight of the game. Mm-hmm. And the teen role is dispersed amongst the groups. So if you're playing as a weaker player with better players, they can carry you. If you're playing as a better player with weaker players, you can carry them. And a really balanced team together will work just great together. I think it naturally flows that there's just people want the pacing of teen every once in a while, even if they're a monster player as well. I mean, we will have players we know that are monster only, but there's just I think it just naturally draws more players to the teen role. It's a very fun. We've really tried to reinforce a ton of tools in the game to make it more cooperative and ways to communicate and have fun together and see and help each other out in different ways.
Yeah, I was gonna say that about the teamwork aspect. I feel like because the goal of the game is very clear, and the win condition is to confront the other side. We have the opportunity to sorry, I'm distracted by this.
Sorry, I need to craft this so I can heal myself.
I was confused why you weren't letting me heal you. Because of that, we get the opportunity to sort of
now you can focus on talking, DOWSEY.
Yeah, I know.
Force the team to have to work together. So those moments as teen, I think, are moments that I haven't experienced in a lot of other asymmetrical games, which is like you really have to work together and combo attacks and coordinate things with the rest of your team. And like, Jay keeps talking about it on Twitter with you doing cool plays together and stuff. And I feel like for me, that's the super cool draw about teen is working together.
Yeah, the core objective just forces the two sides against each other, so you always are confronting. There's no break in the game where you're trying to go and escape or build something or do something else. It's always make weapons, find the monsters find the teens. I mean, it's a really straightforward objective, and that push really keeps it so. I mean, you can play as a solo player, but it's not going to play very well. Everything in the game reinforces and celebrates playing as a group. So.
When you say play as a solo player,
thing.
you mean like playing solo solo queuing, or do you mean
I mean
playing
just
for
being
yourself?
in a game and playing as a lone wolf is what I meant. Yeah,
Sure.
just like not really trying to play against or away from the team. It's harder to do. It's way more fun and way more reinforced if you play with a group.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Totally.
And so one thing I struggled in this game particularly is that Jovo kind of focused me a little bit. How do you feel like teens are meant to deal with, I suppose, monsters coming after them when there's no pallets or in the game to necessarily break chases with the monsters?
In our game, the primary defense that teens have against the monster is the other teens that are armed with weapons. So unlike in BBD where your defenses are loops and pallets, our game, you will want to communicate with your team about whether you're being chased or not, and the teens can see where you are and where you're heading, and be able to intercept the monster with weapons and save you.
And what happens when like a player DCs if this game is so team heavy focused?
If a player DCs before the monster transforms, then the teen side will get a handicap in that there will be a random stigma for every player that was disconnected before the match began. A random stigma will be removed from the list of stigmas they have to deal. They have to injure the monster with.
So we've just found the Book of the Dead. Lawley's going to unlock it here and try and use it to revive me. I am currently positioned here, Lawley, if you want to come over. Whilst this has happened, though, we've managed to get 2 banishes all of a sudden, which is pretty incredible. Sudden shift in pace. This game might actually turn around. I think Jovo was a little bit mean picking Dollmaster in a game where we're all having a chat about different things, and we need to try and hard communicate. One thing that I did want to... Oh, I'm up the other stairs slowly.
Okay.
One thing I did wonder is currently you have 3 monsters designed and will be coming out with the beta, Wart, Dollmaster, and Werewolf. Do you have any plans to create like more mechanical monsters in the future? Monsters with ranged attacks, or monsters that require much, I suppose, a specific mechanical skill, like Blight in Dead by Daylight requires you to know lots of different surfaces and how you can interact with them to get your rushes. Huntress in Dead by Daylight requires
His body's over here.
aim and that kind of stuff. There's something like that quite yet in VHS.
Yeah, we're not going to go into specifics of new monsters, but every monster we design, and I think you can see that from the 3 monsters I have here, we're trying to make them very different from each other. They have different styles of play, different mechanical abilities, and we're definitely exploring a ton of different options. Internally, we have a couple different things going on already that are radically different than what you're seeing here, and it's very fun that we're able to pull off monsters that are that diverse. So we're gonna keep pushing for super diverse monsters.
You just saved my life, Lawley. I was in chase when you managed to get that weapon on him.
I was wondering why it didn't go back to his body.
Yeah. So obviously the main objective that we all know is that the teens have to banish the monster and the monster has to kill the teens. Is there any secondary objectives that you plan on adding to the game, or things that are going to require multiple focus points for both parties?
We're trying to keep the objectives of the game very clear and simple. It's a death match, kill or be killed, between both sides. However, there are additional things you can do in the game, such as pickups and assist your team by healing them. All in service of the objective. In addition to the movie challenges you'll be trying to complete while you're playing the game.
That makes sense. I'm in a chase right now. This is where Dollmaster is very tricky in the sense that he can set up his dolls on one side of the map and have the body on the other, as there's 2 crafting stations for each stigma. So I think Well, we're probably
As
gonna
you're wasting his time, I'm crafting a firebomb.
Oh, that works then. All right. Well, I will try and find a safe place to heal. One thing I was, I suppose, interested in is, have you designed the monsters to have, I suppose, like difficulty in mind? You know, you have your easy monster, you have your medium strength monster, your hard monster, and they kind of offer different things to the player. Or is difficulty not something that you necessarily, you know, consider a huge part of the design?
When we're first coming up with a monster, I don't think we think of difficulty. We sort of just try to think of fun things.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we design the monster, as it comes together and we start making the specific abilities, then we start going, oh, this is going to take more skill. Like the Doll Master is a lot more a skill-based monster. I think we say it's like a 7 out of 10 for difficulty or something, if we had to say that. And the other two monsters were intentionally meant to be a little bit easier to get into. The werewolf is sort of kind of what you see is what you get, and the wart's even sort of simpler than that. He jumps and attacks with an area of effect when he jumps and stuff. So yeah, definitely we were wanting to have a big variety in monsters and difficulty, but we also wanted to see if we could pull off like monsters that did take a huge skill level to balance, and once you get that skill down, it becomes really powerful. And I think that's what the Doll Master shows, is you can really do some really awesome, interesting things with your skills in the game.
So I believe the Doll Master's body is somewhere near this fire station over here, guys.
Yeah, I heard him here.
That is
On the front end, when you look at your monsters in the character select, they do have a difficulty listed there that we think is a good guideline as to the order in which you might want to consider trying the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of we list the wart as being easy to pick up, the werewolf somewhere a little bit trickier, and then the Doll Master requiring quite a lot of experience and time to master.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people see the Doll Master and love the design.
no.
DOWSEY.
I'm
He's
first
just
dead.
picking on you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll focus on my questions, and we can see how the experts trying to take down.
Yeah, everyone sees the Doll Master and goes, "Oh, that's so cool! I want to jump in and play the Doll Master." We often have that picked as the first monster a brand new employee when they work here plays. But yeah, we've almost thought of gating it so you play the other monsters a couple times first before you play Doll Master, because there is a skill jump there.
I don't know.
Kenzo, I have a specific question for you from Zalo.
Yes.
He wants to know, why can't you hit a Molotov? And are you going to hit a Molotov now?
I saw that question.
Yeah, it looks like Zalo, he's not even going to be able to get this crafted. He also asked an important question, I think, and this is kind of two-part. One, is there, lore for the characters and monsters that you are creating, something that the fans of the game can invest themselves into, or stuff that features somewhat in-game with their characters or styles or personalities? And secondly, if that is the case, will there be like lore-based events similar to other games like Overwatch, where the gameplay is kind of shifted a little bit due to the lore?
There's definitely a ton of lore. We haven't revealed a lot of that. Zoe, our design director, she writes all the narrative stuff. And I mean, we haven't even jumped into the lore for the monsters, but there's a lot there. And I'm not going to jump into it now. I'm not going to spoil anything for her. But it is something where we've spent a lot of time, like you will see right here, like the Doll Master is actually from the hotel level.
Okay.
We theme each monster from a level. So we're crafting the two of them together at the same time. Like, the werewolf and the high school are tied together. The wart and the facility are tied together. So we've got some really cool overlap there.
Well, there you go. The answer is Kenzo will hit a Molotov, but in doing so will die. So
this is so hard without communicating.
But it's so hard. Absolutely evil that Jovo knew that this is what we wanted to do and decided to jump onto the Doll Master just to, I guess, flex almost.
It's
You got
not,
the
even
things.
it's not even the communicating, it's like listening to the questions.
Yes.
And trying to play at the same
Sorry.
time.
Having a
It was a
conversation.
nice throw, Kenzo. It was perfectly.
No,
on the
it
ball.
was not. It was
No,
not.
wait. Let me go.
Up
Brandon, wait.
first.
Fuck. Doll on me. Wait.
Throw it, just chuck it in the staircase. He's in the
Jovo.
staircase.
Oh, this might be it. Woods
Yeah.
got past. Oh, direct hit! Wow.
Sorry, I didn't know he was that close.
That is...
He popped up right behind.
That was incredible.
I thought he was gonna hit me. I'm sorry. Sorry about that stream.
Very, very fun ending to the game. All right. Well, I mean, that was a long game with lots of great questions. I think one question I would love to ask before we wrap this up, there's plenty of questions that I've left out because of, how this ended up playing out, is, what is the guarantee for a free-to-play game that you guys are going to be able to deal with whatever, I suppose, hacking elements that potentially could come into VHS? This is something that I know a lot of my audience are worried about. They don't want to, invest into a free-to-play game and then, have their games ruined by I guess, bad parties.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's going to be an ongoing battle for us. We're building a system inside the game, so you can report different types of hacking your thinking's happening, and we will accumulate those and deal with people accordingly with that. But we'll also be running anti-cheat to make sure people aren't running obvious cheats and things like that. But a lot of it's going to come down to us just constantly updating and watching the games to make sure it stays healthy, because we want the game to be obviously fair and balanced and people not to be quitting, because we've all played those games where you're playing and all of a sudden it's just ruined by hacking. So it's something that we take very seriously, and we're going to work really hard to make sure we have the best game we can possibly can without hacking. So we're going to work on our end, work our asses off to keep hacking at bay.
And if I can ask one more question before we wrap things up, I suppose you probably can't answer how often you want to add new content into the game, stuff like cosmetic, laws, killers, teens, modifications, mutations. But is there a plan, I suppose, to go back and tweak stuff if they don't quite work the way you want it to? Do you have plans to add new weapons or modifications or even mutations for pre-existing content and monsters and teens? Is this anything that you can give us a bit of info on?
Yeah, if we're going to tweak stuff and balance stuff, I mean, it's a living game. So if we find out that there's an exploit or a certain meta that's just like defeating the game, we'll work to try to balance the game without just nerfing everything. 'Cause I know people don't like to have power taken away from them. So we'll try to do that in the best way possible. But we also, we're willing to go back and work and add to things. I mean, the game is really driven by fun in a lot of ways. So when we're having fun, we add new things. So we're trying to think of ways to make the game more fun all the time. So if we can find a way to tweak or balance something in a way that makes it still be really fun, we'll go back and do that. But yeah, but it's a living game. We're going to keep adding to it. And as for content drops, it's going to be frequent, as fast as we can produce content. We are a small team still, but we've already produced a lot of content, and we're starting to get a really smooth pipeline down for that. So we know we can produce stuff fairly aggressively, and our store is going to be actively having new stuff in it all the time cycling, but we'll have bigger drops, of course, of monsters and teens and maps that come down the pipe quite frequently.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for sitting down with me today to discuss all this. Thank you, Kyle, for picking Dollmaster and making it very difficult for us to play Teen. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and check to see if you're subscribed. Of course, I've got more VHS gameplay on my channel, some monster gameplay and some Teen gameplay. So why don't you check that out if you're interested in VHS. The beta is coming soon. Any information?
Thank you, DOWSEY, for playing the game today.
No worries, guys. Well, I can't wait to get into this and for everyone to get their hands on it as well. This game has kind of taken over my life, and I stay up to 5 a.m. playtesting on your silly Canadian times. So that's how I feel.
My apologies. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right. Take care, guys.
Go to bed, DOWSEY.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.